Okay, and if you have questions before we start, you can also let me know. Okay, so don't worry. Hi, welcome. Okay, we are still a few minutes away from the start of our parents workshop, so just relax for the time being, and then we'll start on the dot. Okay, you can also familiarize yourself with the icons on the right hand side if this is the first time you're using the ClassIn app. Hi, welcome. Yes. Yes, Vimala, you have a question?
It's okay, I was just testing.
Okay,
you.
no worries, that's good. It works.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome back. Okay, thank you. Parents are here already. Don't worry, we're going to start on time. Okay, so 5 more minutes. Hi parents, welcome and thank you for being punctual for our parents workshop today. Okay, I'm Cher Veron. So today we're going to share we're going to share with you the changes that's upcoming for mathematics and what we at Cher is going to do for your child as well. Okay, so before we start, let's do some learn about the icons for now. Okay, if you're on a laptop or desktop, on the right side of your screen, you should be able to see some icons here. Okay, and the first icon that you actually see is for you to take any screenshots. This video will not be available for a long time, so if you want to keep any information on your phone or on your laptop, it's best to have use the screenshot function in your laptop or on your phone itself. Okay, otherwise whatever screenshot that you capture in the video itself will only stay for the duration where the video is up. Okay, then this is a chat box. You will see this at the right hand side as well. Anytime you have questions to ask or you have answers to give along the way during this workshop, you can always type it in the chat box. We also have a Q&A session at the end of this workshop, so feel free to ask me then as well. Okay, then this one is actually to check the details of your classmate. It's a roster, as you can see. Most of you are having blank faces, so it's good to actually on your video so that it's easier for us to interact with each other as well. Okay, and the chat box, as you can see, sometimes when you click up, it blocks the whole screen on the right hand side. So you can actually readjust. Okay, yes, you can actually readjust the chat box such that it doesn't block my face as well. Okay, then this is for you to raise virtual hands. All these icons are icons that our students use in our app as well when they attend our lessons. Okay, so if they have questions as well, instead of typing in the chat box, they can actually raise the virtual hand. Or if you have anything to add on, you can raise that and then I will be able to unmute and then we can share. Okay, this is for laptop and desktop. Again, for those who are on your phone, okay, your icons will look a bit slightly different. These are your icons over here. Okay, again on the right side of your screen. So this is the settings. The first icon is your settings, followed by your chat box, the roster, and the virtual hand as well. So it works the same way. Okay, without further ado, today's workshop focus is actually on changes to this year's PSLE Math. Okay, how the changes will impact the PSLE Math questions and how your child can prepare for PSLE Math questions, plus how our programs can value add and reinforce your child's learning. So any inquiries you have, you can actually send them to math@cher.com. Okay, it takes about 2 to 3 working days. So just let us know anything that you have, feedback as well. Okay, and the purpose of us being here of our programs is to let your child know that math is not intimidating. Math can be fun. Okay, so let's look at last year's PSLE. Okay, as a lot of parents know, in 2019 PSLE, after the math paper, a lot of children actually came out from the math paper crying and feeling demoralized because they felt that the questions were too tough for them. And there's this parent who actually wrote to MOE to comment on this, saying that yes, it's okay to make it challenging and make it doable, but it defeats the purpose if children are coming out deflated and demoralized. Okay, so her post actually struck a chord with a lot of parents because there are a lot of them who also agreed that last year's paper was too difficult. Okay, but we still also have parents on their flip side. Okay, so parent A, we have this parent A voicing out and saying that she agreed with the parent who wrote into MOE because her own child and her schoolmates also came out crying after the papers, and she felt that even parents can't answer the question. So why is it made so tough? Then, but on the other hand, you have parent B who felt that the way the paper was being set was actually quite well done because whichever paper it is, whether it's for math or other subjects, you do need to have a range, a variation of difficulty in the questions to sieve out students who are of a certain capability. So at this point of time, there's no saying whether we agree or disagree with this. So just a quick show, okay? I'm going to hand out the MCQ option. So let me know whether you agree with parent A or parent B. Just click on the option itself, then after that press submit. There's no right or wrong answer. Both parents have their points, but yeah, it's where you actually stand in terms of how you feel for your child and for the paper as well. Mm-hmm. Okay, very fast. Yeah. I see actually majority of you actually agree with parent B. Okay, again, parent A, yes, it's reasonable to one paper whereby your child is able to tackle it. Okay, and a lot of times it's not so much of whether the paper is too tough for your child or not. Okay, most of the time it's the amount of preparation that your child has before the PSLE paper. So if your preparation is not enough, regardless of whether the paper is going to be tough or easy, chances are your child will feel that it's going to be a challenging paper because not enough practice has been made. They are not exposed to enough types of questions. So perhaps even an intermediate question may be daunting to them. Okay, and those who agree with parent B, yes, it really takes effort to have different kind of questions because last time we used to have the knowledge, the content, the application kind of questions to sieve out the difficulty level. And this time round, even though they rechanged the naming, the concept is there as well. Okay, so what we at Cheer here is going to do is going to prepare your child such that regardless of what kind of paper is going to come out, they are well prepared and they know how to tackle different kind of questions in terms of strategies. Okay, thank you again to those parents who have responded. Okay, then following the comment to MOE, their reply was actually all the topics, all the questions that are being set in PSLE paper, regardless of whether it's last year and the upcoming paper for this year, they are topics within the syllabus. And the exam, every exam is actually to assess students' ability in understanding and applying the concepts. So it's not enough just to understand what the concept is. It's about how you make use of the concept that you understand and apply it in the questions itself. So for each exam, there'll be a balance of basic, average, and challenging questions, which I mentioned just now as well. So the overall standard of paper is maintained from year to year. Okay, and this caters to a wide range of students' ability. Okay, and let's look at the new PSLE scoring system. Okay, for this year, okay, those whose child is in P6, the system is still the same. We are still following the A star, A and B grading system. So anything that's 91 and above, that's considered A star. 75 to 90 is A, and so on. For those who have children below P6 level this year, okay, this year's P5, so next year's P6 onwards, they are using the new 20121 marking system. So how does this differ? Okay, you realize that this year for 2020, a 75 mark gives them a grade A, whereas in the new system next year, a 75 is a grade 4. Okay, there's no telling whether which system is the better system. Okay, but it's actually to differentiate them. The only thing about next year's scoring system is that they don't band them according to the bell curve, so not according to the standards across the different students in the nation, and then they calibrate and adjust the scores accordingly. It's based on individuals' capability. So if you get that score, it's not going to be calibrated, it's not going to be marked against the other students, and it means that the grade is what you have. Okay, and as you can see, a 60 is a B grade in this year, but for next year 60 is a grade 6. Okay, how this will work out, we will know next year when the system kicks in. Okay, so right now, don't worry, your P6 child is not going to be affected by this 2/21 system. Okay, and but we still have changes in this year's PSLE standard as well. So these are the content for the P6 topics in general. Okay, you see whole numbers, fractions, decimals, and so on, all the way until statistics. And how are the changes going to be made? Okay, pre-2018, prior to 2018, this is the percentage, the weightage of it. And then after that, now onwards, okay, including your 2020, the main bulk of it, the changes comes from geometry and statistics. That means a lot more visualization skills is included in the exam questions. Okay, and both of this is increased by 5%, which is actually quite a heavy percentage. Okay, so at CHER, when we do our lessons, we have a lot of questions that deal with visualization type of skills and questions, such that we expose students to a variety of them. Okay, and how these test items will be affected, we all know, due to the COVID-19 situation, there's this home-based learning, and then after that, now is the uh, holidays for our students. Next week, our P6s, some of them are going back to school for revision, but ultimately, home-based learning can't replace classroom learning. So how is MOE going to continue and make sure that the exams is still within the syllabus and within the timeline that teachers can finish teaching? So we don't have to claw back from the June holidays. Okay, what they do is some topics will be taken out from the exam papers. Doesn't mean that these exam topics that are taken out, your child will not be learning. Ultimately, what is taken out will still be taught in school. It is just that in the PSLE exam paper itself, it will not come up. Okay, marking will also be adjusted to be more lenient in these cases. In the event that perhaps certain questions they do need certain concepts that are closely related to what is in P6 but not taught, they will be more lenient in the grading itself. And based on our previous PSLE marking as well, okay, as all primary school teachers have gone through PSLE marking, we do apply special considerations during the PSLE marking period. So do not worry, we will definitely be fair in terms of the PSLE marking as well. Okay. So, what are the things that are going to be taken out? Some of the topics are which Minister Ong has mentioned will be based on pie charts, volume in PSLE math. We're going to go more in detail on the kind of topics that are going to be taken out in PSLE and what the new focus is going to be. Okay, so as mentioned, the topics will still be taught, but they will not appear in questions in national exam. Why will this topic still be taught? Because in primary 6, that's not the end. Okay, your child will move on to secondary 1, and whatever your child needs to learn in secondary 1 depends on the knowledge that they pick up in primary school as well. So if these topics are going to be taken out and not taught at all in primary 6, they're going to suffer. They're going to have a lot of difficulties when they go to secondary 1, because it's a bridge from P6 math to secondary 1 math. Okay, so don't worry that your child is going to lose out in terms of any of the topics when they go to Sec 1. It will still be taught. Okay, so topics to be taken out, these are all in 6B topics. Okay, anything that is in 6A will still be in the exams. So let's look at what is taken out. Okay, solid figures and nets, this is definitely taken out from their exam, PSLE exam, and this has been the direction from MOE since 2014 Haze crisis. Okay, since that affected all schools as well. So from 2014 onwards, this topic, solid figures and nets, has always been the last topic to be taught in primary 6. So in the event that any crisis hit, like this pandemic at this point of time, this topic is taken out in exams, but they will still be taught as well. Okay, another topic that is taken out is pie chart. Okay, speed as well as volume in P6. Okay, why do I say P6 volume? We're going to come back to that later on. Okay, but life still goes on. Okay, so teaching and learning also goes on, because majority of the topics will still be tested. As you can see, whole numbers, statistics, rates, ratio, percentage, volume from P3 to P5. Okay, this is one area whereby a lot of parents and students are not clear as to what is included and what is not included, because based from minister's speech, it seems that volume is taken out. But remember, volume is not just taught in primary 6. It's taught all the way from primary 3 all the way to primary 6. So the only part of volume that is taken out is your P6 volume. Okay, so P3 to P5 is still included. And later on, there'll be a slide I will share with you what are the areas to focus on for volume topics. Okay, then geometry is in. Okay, and let's look at the assessment components for primary math. Okay, so from 2018 onwards, instead of the knowledge, concept and application that we use, what they updated to is the AO1, okay, which is recalling of facts, concepts and formulas only. Okay, this one is the easiest kind of question, the basic question, if you have it. then intermediate, plus the advanced question. So you can see that the weightage for basic questions is still 25%. Intermediate questions, whereby you need to interpret and apply knowledge and concepts, that goes up by 5% to 40%. Okay, the more challenging kind of questions will be those that involves reasoning, analysis, and inference. Okay, that is being reduced by 5%. Okay, this is from 2018 onwards. Okay, and what are the kind of skills that your child needs to familiarize themselves with? Okay, thinking skills and heuristics. So thinking skills such as classifying, comparing, and so on. Okay, then after that, we have problem-solving models such as Polya's model, whereby they have to understand the question, understand what concept to use, and so on. Okay, then heuristic skills such as drawing diagrams, tabulating, guess and check, and so on. Okay, so visualization skill is especially important since volume, pie chart, and so on is taken out. So more emphasis is going to be placed, as seen in previous slides, on geometry and statistics. And these topics are topics whereby there's a lot of visualization involved. Okay. Okay, so this is actually from last year's P6 question. Okay, PSLE question paper 2. So I'm going to give you a bit of guideline, and this is something that your child will be exposed to as well. Okay, and in fact, we have done this in one of our P6 lessons. Okay, so we are given 5 identical semicircles. At one glance, it looks complicated. What is the diameter of each semicircle? How do we actually do this? And this is where visualization skills come into play. Okay, so to find the answer for this one, what we do is we need to know the start and the end. And in their mind, even though we can't shift the diagram, okay, Jen, if you can't see the slide, sometimes it happens. So what you do is log out and log in again. Then after that, the slide should come back. Okay, and don't worry, whatever you miss is in the video. You just need to view the video before it's taken down. Okay, any question you can ask me at the end as well. Okay, so once we have the start and the end, okay, in your child's mind, we know that we can't shift physically on the paper itself. So what they need to do is be able to mentally shift all the diagrams like this. Okay, for the top part, so all the semicircles shift to the left hand side, the spaces, the gaps in between, shift to the right hand side. Then after that, do the same thing for the bottom, and then you have the spaces that is shifted to the right hand side. So is there any parent who can tell me what the diameter of each semicircle is? Any parent volunteer? You can just type it in the chat box, otherwise you can raise your hand and then you can just share your answer. What do you think the diameter of the semicircle is? Diameter is actually just the length of from one point of the circle to the other point. 36. Okay, parent Jivan has mentioned that the diameter is 36. So yes, 36 is correct. And how do we actually get 36? Yeah, Sandra has also mentioned that it's 36. What we do is once they are able to shift to the left-hand side, it actually becomes very easy, because what you see over here is just the diameter. So the diameter to get this portion is just the difference between the gaps below and the gaps on top. Yes, thank you. Jivan has also shared the working as well in the chat box. So 60 minus 24, that gives you your diameter, 36 cm. Okay, important thing to note for your child is units is very important. Thank you, Jivan, for sharing, as well as Sandra. Okay, I'm going to award a trophy. This is what we do in class as well. Okay, when they show that they are able to answer. Otherwise, if they show that they have put in thought process, logical thinking in their workings, we do award trophies as well. Okay, so it's not so much about we must get the correct answer. It is more of letting them share and learn from their mistakes. Okay, then that's only part A. Then part B. Okay, use the calculator value of pi to find the parameter of the figure. So parameter is just the outline of everything. So instead of finding it one by one, which is very tedious, what we do is we know that there are 5 semicircles, and your child must be familiar with the formula to find the circumference of a circle. Okay, otherwise the circumference, the arc length of a semicircle. So five semicircles, the circumference is actually pi d, so semicircle is half pi d, then times 5 of it, you have that. Okay, then your diameter is just 36. So if part A is wrong, you can see that it affects your answer in part B. Okay, so it's important to be careful such that you don't lose marks due to carelessness. Then after that, 90 pi cm. And the important thing is your child should not stop here, because parameter includes those that are the gaps here as well. Okay, so they just need to add in all the gaps, and that will give them a 366.74 cm. Okay, we always tell them, okay, highlight the important things, underline what is crucial, and be careful, look at what the question is asking for. Okay, then so that their final answer will be what they want. Okay, you can actually take a screenshot of this if you want, so that your child can practice as well. This is from last year's PSLE question. Okay. Okay, so how you can equip your child to prepare for PSLE math questions. Okay, fundamental concepts, they must have the breadth and the depth. That means they must know all the concepts. Okay, everything that is taught within the syllabus, the depth of it, they must understand. They must be able to apply the concepts. Okay, just understanding the concept will not give them the depth. Okay, the depth comes from being able to apply what they learn in exam questions, being exposed to many different kind of questions as well. Okay, so these are the fundamental concepts. Okay, for operations of whole numbers without calculators. Why without calculators? Because calculators, even though they can use in paper 2, but remember, paper 1 is a paper whereby they are not allowed calculators. So if they cannot calculate without calculators, then it's going to be very time consuming. And within that 1 hour, it's not enough time for them to finish their booklet A plus booklet B. Okay, and when they are able to memorize and solve questions fast without calculators, it saves a lot of time. It allows them to be able to check their answers at the end as well. Okay, and multiplication and division tables, 1 to 10 is not enough. They need to know the multiplication tables from 1 to 12. Okay, that allows them to do calculations a lot faster and to identify patterns, which we will see later on. Okay, conversion of units of measurement, that means from cm to meters, okay, cm cube to meter cube, milliliters to liters, and so on. They must be very clear which one is 1 to 100, which one is 1 to 1000, and the other way around. Then formula for area and perimeter of geometrical shapes. There are a lot of shapes that students, your child learn. Okay, triangle, squares, rectangles, other four-sided figures like parallelograms, rhombuses, and so on. So properties are important, because especially when it comes to topics like angles, they need to make use of all these properties to be able to solve questions. Okay, and let's take, okay, the next one, later we'll come back to all this. Okay, equipping your child, that means exposing them to many different kind of questions. Okay, so it's not just the standard kind that you see in most of the textbooks and so on. There's a lot more that your child has to be exposed to in terms of the other skill sets, the heuristic skill sets that are coming in, the visualization skill sets that are coming in as well. Okay, and what are the different kind of questions? Model drawing, whereby we have part whole or we have units. Okay, ratio types, whereby we have change versus unchanged, and there are a few types of under this ratio. And what we want your child, we are training your child to do throughout our lessons, is to be able to take one look at the question, identify what kind of question it is, what concept they are supposed to use for that question, and how to solve it. Okay, it's actually very systematic. Then construction of lines and shapes. Okay, so this requires them to be able to read the question carefully, use their apparatus, mathematical instruments, and construct. Okay, shapes meaning your triangles, your squares, and so on. Okay, Jen, I'm not sure whether it could be an issue with the system. So can you check with admin portion? Because on my end, I'm sorry, I'm unable to resolve the blank screen. Okay, check with the admin. They should be able to help you with this. Okay, anything, I'll get back to you after this as well. Okay, so guess and check, okay, whereby this skill set is for questions where if your child realize that at that point of time there's no other method they can do. Okay, normally guess and check is the last resort that we do, because most questions do have a structure, do have a standard method for them to tackle. Okay, so in the event that they are unable to recall, guess and check is another method that they can use. Okay, patterns as well. We will look at the patterns in later slides. What are the patterns that your child needs to be familiar with? And this is very important as well, relating to real life situations. You realize that nowadays questions are shifting from just standard mathematical questions. There's a lot of questions that relate to real life. So expose yourself, okay, on a daily basis, anywhere that you go, when we are able to go out. Otherwise, in your house, you can actually get them to recall concepts, recall properties of certain shapes that you come across. Otherwise, even percentages and all that, money. These are things that you can interact with your child to link it to real life situations that they see. Okay, and basic facts must be committed to memory. This is where all the number patterns, all the units and conversion comes in. So, okay, basic facts. Yes, this is something that your child needs to remember. Okay, so 10% to from percentage to decimals to fractions. One way to remember is PDF. Okay, so they must be able to convert. Okay, so 10% to 0.1, 1/10, and then 20%, and so on. So one look at this. Okay, students need to be able to tell. Okay, 20% is 0.2, and that gives them 1/5, rather than relying on the calculator and then pressing on it and then find out what is 20%. Same thing for the rest, 25%, 50%, 75%. These are important percentages that they need to know as well. Okay, that being said, it doesn't mean that the other percentages like 30% and so on, your child need not be familiarized. If they know that this is how you convert, okay, given any percentage, one look they'll be able to convert to at least decimals. Then after that, fractions is slightly more tedious, not difficult, but slightly more steps, because sometimes you need to reduce to simplest form. Okay, and for questions whereby they deal with fractions or ratio, anything that's not in simplest form, even if it's not mentioned in the question, your child is going to be is going to lose marks based on that. Okay, so make sure they have the habit of giving the answers to the simplest or the lowest form. Okay, this is one of it. Okay, yeah, it cuts down calculation time and less prone to making errors. Okay, and this one, number series. A lot of times, students are very afraid of pattern questions. They see patterns coming up in the form of this kind of numbers, in the form of diagrams, matchsticks, boxes, cubes, and so on. They get turned off because they find that it's very difficult to find what is pattern number 20, what is pattern number 100. Okay, but this is something that is very, very commonly seen. Okay, so they must familiarize themselves with square numbers, cube numbers, and triangular numbers. So square numbers just means it's just what the name means. Okay, it's a square of numbers, 1 times 1, 2 times 2, and so on. So the moment they see 149, in their mind they should know, yes, this is square numbers. I know what the next few numbers are, which is supposed to be my 4 times 4, 5 times 5, and so on. Okay, if they're not familiar with this, then it's going to be tough, because to them, 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, what is the pattern that I actually see? Is it +3, then +5, then +7, and so on? That makes it complicated for them, which is not what we want. We always try to simplify, and then one look they can do it nicely. And then if the question is going to ask them about what is the number, what's the value for pattern 100? They're not going to write down 100 times. It's going to be time consuming. Straight away, they know pattern 100 is 100 times 100, as can be seen from this. Okay, same thing for cube numbers. Okay, cube just what it means is like volume itself. So 1 times 1 times 1, 2 times 2 times 2. So once they see 1, 8, 27, what goes in their mind is this is cube numbers. It's three of the same numbers multiplied together, and whatever pattern is, even if they ask for pattern 50, it's just 50 times 50 times 50. And they need to be able to recognize at least until the first three or the first four numbers, okay, to know that that is the pattern itself, because not all exam questions will give you the left hand side of it. Okay, they will not be so nice as to tell you this is 1 times 1 times 1, this is 2 times 2 times 2. They will just give you 1, 8, 27. And one look you need to be able to know. And another kind of popular number pattern that is getting more and more common is the triangular pattern, triangular numbers. Okay, slightly more complicated, but once they see the numbers 1, 3, 6, okay, plus 2, plus 3, and then after that plus 4 and plus 5. This one is triangular numbers. And the thing is, they're not going to do, if they ask for pattern 49 or 48, they're not going to do it 48 or 49 times. Okay, it's too time consuming. And that's a common mistake that a lot of students use when they are trying to solve number pattern questions. What they do is make use of all these shortcuts. If it's pattern 1, triangular numbers, 1 times 2 divided by 2. Pattern 3, you see it starts with 3 times 4 divided by 2. So if it's pattern 49, it will be 49 times 50 divided by 2, without having to list down all the things that are coming in the number patterns. Okay, so these are the three that are most common in number patterns. Okay, please do get your child to be able to memorize. Okay, this is very, very important. Okay. Okay, so then conversion is also important because they need to know, am I supposed to times 100? Am I supposed to times 1000? Because they tend to confuse themselves. Okay, once they are familiarized, they will, one look, they will know. Okay, sometimes meters to cm, they'll be asking themselves, is it 1 meter to 100 cm or 1 meter to 1000 cm? Otherwise, what is a common error is 1 kg, they give 100 grams. Okay, which will cause them to make mistakes for the whole question itself. So this is something that your child needs to memorize as well. So straight away, 2 meters is 200 cm. 3.5 kilometers, we must times 1000, that gives us 3500. Kg to grams also times 1000. Okay, liters to milliliters is times 1000 as well. So the only thing that is 200 is the meters to cm. Okay, so in this case, then you see that it's from a smaller unit to a bigger unit. So instead of multiplying, you do it the other way around, divide. Okay, and then they need to check the units required for each question. So sometimes, because when the whole question can be in cm, but at the end of it, the last sentence in the question itself, they can say, leave your answer in meters or leave your answer in kilometers even. If they do everything in cm and at the end of it, because they miss out one step in converting to the correct units, they're going to lose precious marks. And every single mark counts towards getting that A or A star. Okay, so then you might think that, okay, perhaps that 1 mark doesn't make much of a difference. But accumulation of 1 mark for this question, 1 mark for another question here and there, it makes up a lot of marks. Okay, especially when your paper 1. Okay, paper 1 is a paper whereby we encourage students to score as high as possible, such that you secure a minimum number of marks. Then when it comes to paper 2, the first 5 questions of the 2 marks questions are something that your child should be able to tackle. Okay, and try to get all full 10 marks. Then after that, you tackle the 3 marks, 4 marks, and 5 marks question. Okay. Okay, so another way to equip your child, okay, we come back to the heuristic skills. Those are skill sets that needs to be strengthened. And what kind of heuristic skills are we talking about? What we mentioned in the previous slide. Okay, drawing of diagram. Okay, model drawing is part of it as well. So questions that deal with units, that deal with ratio or fractions, a lot of times can be solved using diagrams or ratios. Okay, tabulating, guess and check, working backwards, simplifying, and considering special cases. So these are things that we expose your child to as well throughout our lessons, and we get them familiarized with the different kind of questions. When I see this type of question, what is the heuristic skill that I need to use? Okay, it doesn't mean that heuristic skills is applicable for all kinds of questions. Certain types of questions, you don't want to use a particular method because it's more tedious. And otherwise, it defeats the purpose of using that method. Okay, we want it to be precise. We want your child to be so familiarized with it, no matter what kind of question is coming out. Okay, even if it seems to be a challenging kind of question, most of the time the concept is the same. What they do is, for questions like this, most of the time they change the numbers, they change the content of it, they can change the names, they can change the items that is being used, but ultimately it boils down to the same concepts. So don't let the numbers and the fractions intimidate your child. Okay. Okay, and we also have drill and guided practice. Okay, because just practicing is not enough. They need guidance for certain kind of questions such that they can gain confidence in solving questions. If they don't have the confidence, that first level, okay, no confidence, they will not dare to try questions. So for very complicated questions, for questions that seem to be very challenging, we drill them, we guide them along so that we sharpen their recognition of what kind of concept it is, what type of strategies we are supposed to use for different kind of questions. Okay, so impact on PSLE math questions. There will be more emphasis on P5 concepts and P6A topics. Okay, like I mentioned previously, all the topics that are going to be taken up from PSLE are from 6B. So anything that is on 6A is very important. P5 concepts are important as well because especially for those topics whereby the P6 topics are taken out. Okay, so instead of speed is taken out from your P6, but P5, students do learn rates. So there will be more rates question to replace the speed question that is going to be taken out. Okay, there will be more visualization questions to replace solid figures and nets. Recall, solid figures and nets is always the last topic to be taught in P6 math. Okay, so once that is taken out, more visualization questions like what you see in the PSLE example that I showed in my previous slide. Then there'll be more line and bar graphs because we know that pie chart is taken out. This falls under statistics. So they're still going to test your child on statistics topic. Okay, but if one portion of it, which is your pie chart, that is going to be taken out, then the focus will shift to what can be tested in the chapter itself. Because remember, statistics is a chapter whereby the percentage of coverage in exam questions increases by 5%. So by taking out one topic, they still increase 5%, which means there will definitely be more line and bar graphs. Okay, then P5 volume concepts and lower primary volume, okay, which I mentioned, and we are going to look at what volume we have in this slide. Okay, so P5 volume concepts and lower primary volume. What are the areas your child needs to focus on for volume? Whatever is not mentioned here, it will not be tested. Okay, so that is the volume that is taken out. So focus on this that I'm going to show on this slide. Okay, and make sure that your child is familiarized with all this. So building solid with unit cubes, this is from their P5 as well. Unit cubes just means a cube whereby it's 1 unit by 1 unit by 1 unit, not by cm or by meters and so on. They just give it a unit. Okay, and what they do is build the units, the solids up, and then your child needs to be able to visualize that it's a 3D shape and be able to count the number of cubes that is in that diagram, in that solid itself, and tell them what is the volume of that figure. Okay, that's this point. Then measuring volume in cubic units, cubic cm and cubic meters. This is similar to the first one, whereby we talk about unit cubes. Okay, just that for the second point, okay, instead of using units, they are using cm and meters now. So 1 cube is no longer 1 unit, it's either 1 cm or 1 meters. Volume is still the same, 1 cm times 1 cm times 1 cm, or 1 meter times 1 meter times 1 meter. Okay, then again, measuring volume, okay, can be any shapes that they stack up, and then after that your final answer is similar to what they do in the first point. Okay, your final answer just comes in cubic cm or cubic meters instead of cubic units. Okay, it's basically a difference in the naming of units. Then drawing cubes and cuboids on isometric grid. Okay, isometric grids is a paper that looks like similar to those graph, but it's with all those dots that you see. Those are isometric grids. Those who know designing and so on, those are the papers that they use. Okay, and what your child will be given is a cube or a cuboid. Okay, and they're supposed to replicate that cube or cuboid on this grid itself. So depending on the length, the dimensions that are given in the cube and cuboid on the question itself, they're supposed to draw the exact same length in the isometric grid. Then finding volume of cube and cuboid. Cuboid, this comes, they need to know the formula. So cube is just length times length times length, because a cube is the same length throughout, whether it's the length, the base, or the height. Then when it comes to cuboid, it's like a rectangular block. Okay, so formula for finding volume of cuboid is just length times breadth times height. Okay, and then finding volume of liquid in a rectangular tank. Rectangular tank is basically the shape of a cuboid. Okay, so finding liquid, any kind of liquid in the rectangular tank is just the same using the formula length times breadth times height. Most of the time, the difference comes from the height. Why? Because the liquid may not fill the tank completely. So depending on the height of the liquid in the tank, they find the amount. Then questions like this appears mostly in word problems. Can be challenging word problems as well. And what they like to ask is, I have this certain amount of liquid in this rectangular tank. After that, I want to transfer the liquid into maybe a few cups, a few glasses, a jar or something, any shape that they have. Okay, then they give you the volume of one jar and so on. How many jars can you fill? Something along this line. Otherwise, they have the tank filled to a certain amount. Okay, then how much more liquid do we need to fill the tank completely? These are certain kind of questions that can come out in this finding volume of liquid. Okay, and mentioned before, your child needs to know the relationship, that means units of conversion, between liters and ml and cubic cm. We know that 1 liter equals to 1000 ml. That's why students are should be very clear as well. What causes confusion is when cubic cm comes in. So they also need to remember 1 liter is equals to 1000 cubic cm. It's the same as ml. So 1 ml equals to 1 cubic cm. Okay, that's the important thing in terms of conversion. Okay, so this slide is actually very important, because this will be where the focus of volume is. Okay, after the P6 volume is taken out. Okay, any questions so far in terms of this? Otherwise, your questions can come at the end of it as well, no worries. Okay, so for CHER math programs, okay, some of you, I know that your child is already with us. Okay, what we have is actually effective teachers plus solid content, because all of us are MOE trained. Okay, all the teachers at CHER are trained in MOE. We have done PSLE marking. We have done teaching across different primary school levels, and a lot of them are heads of their own departments as well. Okay, and the content that we have are also done by heads of departments in the primary schools. Okay, so that leads to quality learning for your child, because they have the content that is required to prepare them well for PSLE. And then we have comprehensive revisions. Okay, these revisions are not only topics based. Okay, that means we have volume, we have rates, and so on. It is also strategy based. So some of our revision is not based on a particular topic. It's based on certain strategies. So for example, ratio, there are 4 different kind of change ratios. Then how are we going to get them familiarized with the strategies? We have lessons dedicated to that. And then that particular lesson is drilling your child and guiding them into identifying the different kind of ratio questions and so on. This applies to different topics as well. Okay. And we also have commonly tested and higher order thinking questions. We have pre-lesson tasks. That means short activities that exposes students to knowledge outside of the classroom content. How we relate all this knowledge, how we relate what the topics that they're going to learn to daily life. Okay, real life situations. And we have recorded videos. So all our lessons, as long as the child is signed up with CHER, even after a particular lesson, 1 hour lesson, they can review the videos as many times as they want. It's in the app for them forever. Okay, and they can pause the videos as well. Screenshots will be given. They can take screenshots as and when they want. Okay, and at the end of our lessons, our P6 lessons, we are also moving forward to cutting out important slides in the lesson itself, such that students, if they want snippets of the lesson, they don't have to go through the whole video. They can zoom into the snippets of the video, target the questions that are important as well. Okay. Then we have cheer challenge in every lesson, and we cheer them on as well, because cheer challenge most of the time are dealing with the higher order thinking as well as very challenging questions. Okay, this is to expose them and get them to stimulate their thinking. What strategy do I want to apply for this particular question? Okay, if this strategy doesn't work, what else can I try? Okay, as long as we stimulate, they will get used to it, and the thinking process, the thought process, the way they come up with their solution will get faster. And this benefits them in exams as well, because there's a time constraint. Paper 1 is actually a very, very short time for them. Okay, and on top of that, they are not able to use calculator. So calculating certain values does take more time. Okay, so if they have this, they are able to identify quick and able to calculate fast or memorize certain concepts fast, then they will save a lot of time. Okay, we have a communication channel, just now I mentioned. Okay, any quick inquiries you can send to math@cheer.com. This is our math related queries or communication. If there are administrative queries, you can always reach out to our admin as well. Okay, they will be able to help you with it. Okay, partnership with parents. At the end of each lesson, we do summarize. We encourage parents to join us at the end of the lesson, because there's always a summary for parents to know what has been taught and what has gone through for that 1 hour lesson itself, how the parent can assist the child, can work together with the child to guide them and reinforce the concepts for that particular chapter. Okay, and anytime at the end of it, after the summary, any questions, parents can always speak to us, the teachers here. Okay. Okay, so in conclusion, if we have the 26 alphabets, okay, and all these alphabets are represented by numbers 1 to 26, knowledge makes up 96%. Okay, knowledge in terms of math and other subjects. Hard work, slightly more, makes up 98%. Okay, but what is most important is attitude. That makes up 100%. So actually, we also encourage your child to have a positive attitude and a good attitude towards their learning, towards their studying. Okay, the pre-lesson task is a way for them to gain that as well, because it's always available 1 to 2 hours before each lesson. It's actually a short activity. It involves a PDF article for them to read. There will also always be a YouTube video for them to share, for them to view as well. Like I mentioned, these are concepts that are slightly outside the classroom context. It relates more to real life situations. Okay, and 3 short questions in a pre-lesson task which they can answer, and the cheer teachers will always review them and give comments on what they can improve on in terms of their answers, or tips as to where they have missed out in certain concepts. Okay, so at this point of time, we have come to the end of the math workshop. If you have any questions at all, just let me know. Okay, I will address them here. Okay, otherwise, those who have not signed up with us, we do have free trial lessons. I encourage you to give us a try. Okay, sign up with us for free trial lessons to see how it is, whether it's suitable for your child in terms of whether it's math, English, or science. Thank you, parents. Thanks for spending your Saturday afternoon with me. Yes, slide 30. Okay, this is your slide 30. Okay, the emphasis on the P5 topics plus the 6A topics. Welcome. Yes, George, the lessons are all done online only. Ours is an online platform. Okay, so we do not have the face-to-face interaction, but however, students are always welcome to ask questions during lesson itself, and at the end of it, questions can come from students and parents. So what we want is every lesson is face-to-face interaction. Okay, it's not a pre-recorded video lesson that students just go through, and at the end of it, whatever they feel that they can improve on in terms of the questions, in terms of wanting to try particular questions again, they can replay the video as and when they want. Okay, so everything is done purely online. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you, Giselle. Thank you, Jivan and Jared. Okay, thank you, Catherine. What should a child Lynn? Yes, okay. The day before is actually good to have plenty of rest. Yes, we know that that your child needs to prepare as well. Okay. But do not stress them, because the preparation happens way before the exam date. Okay. What we have is actually our plan is from now until PSLE, the day before PSLE, because theirs will be on 2nd October. We have a last lesson. Okay, for those who have signed up for our Math P6 program, we have a last lesson on 1st October. There's a 1 hour lesson to just do revision with them. And we do have the schedule for math until PSLE. So there's a total of about 15 to 18 revision lessons as well. Okay, so try not to stress them before it. Get plenty of rest, drink fluids, drink water, and whatever preparation they can do will be done before prior already. Esther, how should we prep our child for PSLE math? Very good question. That's what a lot of parents want to know as well, right? Like I mentioned, it's a gradual process. It can't be done overnight. It can't be done one day in advance. So even if they have not started, now is the time to start. Okay, get them familiarized with different kind of questions, like what we do at CHER as well. Okay, practice. Okay, what they do in terms of practicing for the papers, you definitely need to time them. Okay, paper 1 is 1 hour, paper 2 is 1 hour 50 minutes. So what you do is split the papers up. Okay, what we do is try not to give them that full 1 hour for paper 1. Perhaps at first go, you don't want to stress them too much, you can split up. Okay, booklet A, booklet B, give them about 20 25 minutes, 25 minutes each. That tells them that, hey, we must work fast, we must work accurately. And then after that, slowly, when they do the whole paper 1, you realize that they don't need the full 1 hour. Why do we not want to give them that full 1 hour? We don't want them to take that whole time, and then at the end of it, yes, they can finish within 1 hour, but they can't check their questions. They have no time to do any checks after that. Okay, and preparing is not just on topics, it's also on strategies. So get them to try questions that deal with heuristic skills, thinking, or the skills, which I have shown in the previous slides as well. You can replay the video also. Okay, so some of the skill sets that they need to familiarize themselves with are this. Okay, these are very useful concepts. Get them to try practice question. We do expose our students to all these questions in our revision as well. Okay. Yes, online mode is the same for all other lessons. At this point of time, we have English and math and science. Okay, so everything is done online. We have the pre-lesson tasks for all subjects. We have our lesson content. After the pre-lesson task, we always do a short recap of what we have done for the previous lesson. Then we go into the lesson proper. We have our concepts that the students need to familiarize themselves with for that particular lesson. We have questions for them to try. We have quizzes, we have challenges, and then at the end of it, we have an exit pass to ensure that they have mastered the concept. Even if they have not, within that 1 hour, don't worry. They can always revisit the videos again. Any questions, students normally do stay at the end of it to ask. Okay, otherwise in a pre-lesson task, they can also write down their question and we will always address it. Esther, I would suggest a mixture of both. Past year papers are important because that allows them to familiarize with how exam papers are. Okay, revision by topics is good if they want to reinforce and strengthen the depth of that topic, that particular topic. But it doesn't tell them, it doesn't expose them to a mixture of different topics in one exam paper. So they may master that particular topic. When it comes to a combination of different topics in one paper itself, then it seems as if they suddenly can't cope, because their brain will not be able to handle the fact that, hey, suddenly I'm moving from this chapter to another chapter within the all 5 questions, all different topics. Okay, so it's good to have a mixture of both, one for the depth, one for exposure and the exam stimulation context that they put themselves in. Okay, they do need a bit of stress in terms of practicing for the papers. They can't take their own sweet time to do the whole paper itself. So the time concept is very important. Okay, time them. If they feel that at this point of time they are not familiar with certain topics, that's where you do the revision by that topic. Then after that, if they find that, hey, I know this topic by now, okay, start with paper 1. Okay, and if they feel that they're struggling with the 4-5 marks questions in paper 2, what my suggestion would be is to focus on your 2 marks question and 3 marks question first. Okay, you need to get as many marks as possible. Get your child to familiarize themselves with your 2 marks, your 3 marks question, because that is where you don't want to lose anything to careless mistake. Okay, if you are able to secure that, then you focus on the 4 marks, 5 marks, which is the higher order thinking questions. Remember, your whole paper, not everything is challenging. Okay, and anytime they come across a question whereby they are stuck, don't waste time on it. Skip to the next question. Okay, once you look at the question for a few seconds, you realize that you have no idea how to start, get your child to skip, and then we can always come back to it, which is why it's important to finish with the paper before that timeline. Okay, if you take about 45 minutes to 50 minutes to finish, and then after that you have that remaining extra 10-15 minutes, you can go back, your child can go back to questions that they have not tried or they are not sure of. Okay, the lessons and materials will always be, the materials is always given in the app itself. They can print out from the app. Okay, it's most of the time it's not through emails. So pre-lesson tasks, when we are doing revisions and all that, it will be in their pre-lesson tasks. They can download, okay, from the pre-lesson task itself. I At this point in time, because this is a parents workshop, there's no pre-lesson task over here. Okay, but this is what your child will have under the assignment. There will be documents in our lessons. They can always click on the document itself. There will always be a document attached. Click on it, they can download and print out. Esther, how do students avoid making careless mistake? There's something that all of us don't want our child to do. Okay, so very good question. Okay, how we cannot avoid totally most of the time. It's a matter of minimizing, which is where the checking comes into play. Okay, so as they get used to exam conditions, as they get used to the pressure that they face throughout exams, they will be more careful. When you don't expose them to trying out exam questions, even at home, or when they are doing revision with them, then they will not get into the mode whereby, yes, I have to reduce my careless mistakes. So at this point of time, if you see them making careless mistakes and you mark for them or you go through with them, that is where you point out, why are you making these mistakes? Highlight to them, what is it, what has contributed to the mistake. Sometimes it's neglecting to convert to the correct unit. Sometimes it's a calculation error and all that. Get your child to tell you how they want to avoid making those mistakes. Okay, because that's when they will reinforce in their mind, okay, this is something that I've done before. I don't want to lose this marks again. How many questions would cover heuristics? Very hard to say, Hannah. Yes. Most of the time, heuristic questions will form the intermediate and the advanced questions. Okay, and what we can say is it comes most of the time in the questions at the end of it. Okay, word problems, you can expect this generally to appear in 4 marks, 5 marks questions. Okay, then after that, in terms of your paper 1, we have your booklet A, MCQ. Also, chances are it will appear in the last few MCQ questions. And then after that, your booklet B. Okay, booklet B is made out of short answer questions, last few. Okay, there will always be a section at the end of it. Most of the time, those are the questions that deal with heuristics. Welcome. Okay. Any questions, you can just type it in the chat or type it in the question box. I'll be here to answer. Okay, and if you're not sure how we do our lessons, like I mentioned, you can always sign up for the trial class to see how it is done, whether it's suitable for, whether it aligns with what you're looking for your child. Yeah, because we do a lot of questions that expose students to heuristics as well, especially and thinking skills question, because even though it will not be the whole paper, but heuristic skills do value add when your child tries to solve questions in the other areas as well. Okay, then no questions at this point of time. I hope to see your child in one of my P6 lessons. Okay, we have P6 math lesson on Monday and Wednesday 7 p.m. and then we have a Saturday lesson as well. Okay, so you can chat with our admin. From P4, I would say not so much of a format, but in terms of the depth in knowledge. Okay, from P4 onwards, because there's a huge jump in the difficulty level from P4 to P5 math. Okay, so if your child knows their concepts very well all the way from P4, then they will not face too much of a difficulty when it comes to P5, because there are a lot of new content coming in P5, okay, which is tougher. And if they don't have to worry about their concepts back in P4, then that's where they are well prepared. So it's good to start from P4 as well. Okay, upper primary, then they will not stress themselves. They will know, hey, this is something that I can manage. Okay, I just need to reinforce my concepts further in terms of the topics that I've learned in P4. Okay, this is something that I have. Let me pull out the content. Hold on. I do have that. Okay, this is the math topic that we will be covering. Okay, this was back in lesson 10, whereby we dealt with angles in geometrical figures. Okay, lesson 11, it's further more complex questions for angles in geometrical figure, which was the lesson that we just did last week. So next week we are starting revision for rates, and then for that week itself, everything is on rates. Then after that, the following week it will be revision for volume. Okay, so you can see that we have a lot of revision coming in. Okay, plus problem solving strategies. So these are not topical based, these are strategy based. And then our final revision will be a mixture. Okay, we will also pull out past year's papers, past year questions to expose your child. Welcome. Okay, no more questions. I'll just on the music for you all to take a look at this. Yes, Lynn. I've unmuted you, so you will need to unmute yourself. Yes, Lynn, you have a question? Okay, no worries. Yes, Esther, it's just a short pre-lesson task. Not really homework, it's pre-lesson task. Everything is actually done during the lesson, and then we do encourage them to revise as well. Okay, before after the lesson by reviewing the questions, because we do have many questions in each lesson itself. Yeah, so the only homework before the chair lesson is actually the pre-lesson task, which can be done within at most 20 minutes. Yeah, it's just a short article plus a video, and then after that 3 questions for them to answer. If it's in the slides, there's no hard copy. Yeah, they can review the video. Okay, but any revision questions that we put in the pre-lesson task, that means when we have all our revision. Okay, the pre-lesson task will have questions that they have to do in it, and then those are questions that you can print out, because you can download the questions and then print out after that. Yes, welcome. Thanks for joining. Thank you. Anything can write into our math@cheer.com as well.